So welcome back, everybody. As the title and thumbnail alludes to, we're gonna build something crazy today. Okay, y'all, so we recently picked up an electric cart for work around our homestead and farm here. Thanks to our Polaris Ranger kind of biting the dust on us, I decided to go electric because I can charge this for free with all the extra solar power that I make. A while back, I hinted around that I need some sort of transportation on the property when I'm working way on the back corner of the property with this super slow excavator. Goes a whopping 2 miles an hour. We're clearing out trails and hurricane damage, and we'll be doing that really from here on out. But for sure, well into next year with the trail cleaning, we're gonna get more storms. And I kicked around an idea a while back of picking up one of those electric bikes that I can haul out there with the excavator and be able to run back and forth. You need to go to the restroom. I need to come back and get a drink of water. Lunch is ready. I need tools. I need all kinds of stuff. But I kind of quickly scrapped the electric bike idea because you can't carry much on those. And once I picked up this electric cart, I got to thinking, while this looks massive, it's only a little over 1,000 pounds. This excavator can lift a lot more than that, not to mention this front dozer blade. This is also designed to push thousands of pounds of downforce and upforce. So what if that cylinder, along with this boom in conjunction, well, they could lift many, many times the weight of this. What if I carry the entire cart out to the woods with me? And here's the cool thing. Look at the size of the bed in the backside of this cart. I can put ropes, chains, chainsaws, tools, everything I need back there. Plus, I've got a really quick cart to run back and forth to the house, again, for the restroom, the lunch is ready, all that kind of stuff. And I can leave the excavator in the woods and not have to run it back and forth on the property at, well, 2 miles an hour. All right, let's test this out before I paint it. Make sure it's good. I got a little lip right here where I can slide and lock it on. Now I should be able to drive underneath the golf cart. We'll chain and hook up from the other side. I have no idea if this will work or not, but we'll find out. All right, let me see if I can bend that. Sticking up a bit high. The lip is not designed for lifting or anything. It's just there to hold this on. It's pretty thin stuff, so I can bend it like that. Might have made this bad boy a little tight. Might have to cut a few welds and move some stuff around. All right, adjustments made. I got myself 1.5 inches more room. That should be plenty to allow for the gap on this. Let's go. All right, so you can see I'm having to work around my top. I could take that off. I considered putting a soft top on this, but I want my hard top. So that's why I had to do my design this way. And I got just enough room to bring the boom down, and now I can come up a few feet. I can drop this right here. And I pretty much always have chains with me, so you can see what I've done right here. I built my frame. By the way, there is a subframe that comes down in here, or the actual frame of the cart, and then it's got reinforcements going everywhere on this outside edge, so we're gonna lift up from that. And then you can see I welded on some really beefy hooks tying into all this thick 2-inch square tubing. This is just such a simple way of doing this, and this allows me to drive in from underneath, not having bars and stuff sticking up over here. You know, I need this to be convenient, relatively lightweight. It meets all that, and something I can pack out easy, not take up a lot of barn space. I think I've nailed it with this design. I'm probably gonna have to try to lift up with the blade and this about the same time. Actually, looking at some of the geometry, I might have to lift this side up first. Fingers crossed I don't tear my cart up. All right, so now I'm gonna take a look at everything, make sure nothing's binding. All right, I got thunderstorms on the way, but let's just go drive around with this for a little bit and test it. I will say it's got a little more weight to the rear, but I've got a heavy duty clamp up front to make sure. We're gonna drive nice and slow anyways, but whenever I start putting weight in the rear, I may play around with some geometry designs here, but let's see. All right, the excavator feels balanced. It doesn't feel tippy like when I pick up a 2,000-pound log. This weighs half that. Now, now I can carry my cart out to the woods, to the trails, and then run it back and forth all day long to come back and get chainsaws. And like I said, go to the bathroom, eat lunch, or just leave my excavator in the woods for a few days. There's going to be times I may want to do that. But now I can carry this with me, and you see how slow an excavator is. I mean, I can go a little bit faster than this at high speed, but could you imagine trying to drive all the way back from the backside of 50 acres with this every time you needed to go get a tool or a part, or just come grab lunch, or you need to use the restroom again real quick? It's just, it's excruciatingly slow. Now, this can go with me. Now, this is not something I'll use often. That's why it's small as it is and can be tossed off to the side. But I actually will use this. All right, so I know what some of you are thinking. Hey, this is goofy and stupid. Why not just have your wife run you down to the woods in the golf cart and then you bring her back? Well, she's not always home. She may be running errands, she may be shopping, she may be working out, she may be out of town, she may be on vacation. I work solo a lot and I hate having to depend on anybody. All right, let's take a look at it. Very simple, easy to move design. That's what I wanted. If I had to do it all again, I would probably build a frame that would cradle all the tires. That would help take out some of the odd weight and imbalance that we have here. It is what it is. No more than I'm gonna use this. I'm okay with this. And then that would require a lot of metal and a huge frame that I probably couldn't pick up and move by hand. This is already getting quite heavy. So sadly, due to a line of thunderstorms that's rolling in right now, oh, hear the thunder, I cannot do no painting today. But let me show you how this works. I've got a angle iron lip right here, so I can slide this back and off. That's not really made for lifting as much as just assisting with putting it on and allowing me to drive underneath. More of a cradle than anything. 3/16 steel, you know, reinforcements, gussets, plenty for something that weighs, you know, over 1,000 pounds. And we're not putting a whole lot of weight here, because don't forget, not only are we lifting on this side, but we're also lifting on this side, thanks to these extremely heavy-duty chain hooks right here. So I'm having to play with two joysticks in there, the blade lift and the boom up. And it'll take me a little time to get them both to come up at the same time. You actually kind of want it to come up like this a little, just due to some geometry right here. But ultimately, you've got that cylinder and this gigantic cylinder lifting at the same time. And I mean, just the boom cylinder alone is designed to lift a couple 1,000 pounds more than what that weighs. So I felt no tippiness, no stress on the machine. I'm comfortable with this to drive it way to the back corner of the property over there where we're working on some trails right now. So a fun build, not practical in a lot of people's eyes. I totally get that. It's something that I'll only occasionally use. That's why I didn't want to have no more metal and time in it than I did. But it's going to be really nice when we go back there and start doing days of trail work. Well, I need a way to get my equipment back there. And I'm telling you, either the Ranger, until it gave me problems, now this electric cart, when I'm working back there like that, I could run up here 10 times in a day. When I'm working on big projects where I maybe am building stuff somewhere else on the property, I might jump in this cart 50 times a day. All right, this definitely beats the electric bike that we were all talking about getting for carrying. Obviously, that'd been easier to carry, but it can't haul chainsaws and things like the big dump bed on this cart can. Like I said, it was a fun build. Some of you may think it's stupid. I don't care. I had fun building it. We'll catch you on the next one.